having the most wonderful, amazing day, what song comes first to your mind that you want to hum or sing as you're going about your amazing day?
Gosh, that's a hard one to answer. So many. Let me see. Well, I think songs like the one I just mentioned, My Favorite Things, because obviously something wonderful about that day fits into my favorite things. There are just so many. There's another song in the book, which is an old song, but it stands up as a wonderful poem, and it's called You've Got to Accentuate the Positive. And I wonder, yeah, somebody obviously knows it. Yes, you've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. And don't mess with Mr. In-Between. And for some reason, we have a phrase in our family, which is in the book, called, are we lucky or what? And we are, to have music and poetry and travel and friends and a roof over our heads. And somehow, those are the things that come to mind.
Wonderful. Now, we're going to be showing Mary Poppins. When we're done here, everybody's going to get to stay and see a screening of Mary Poppins. So somebody would like to know, which is your favorite movie, The Sound of Music or Mary Poppins? Is that like choosing your favorite child?
Yeah, it's like choosing my favorite puppy all over again. Well, they were very different. Mary Poppins was the first movie I ever made, and it was a great learning experience. And because of all the special effects in the movie, flying, and I'll tell you a funny story about that. I think that was a great lesson, that film. I think Sound of Music was so beautiful. We were out in the countryside so much, and the children were such fun. Well, the children in Mary Poppins were fun too. But I think somebody asked a question somewhere today about, is there a favorite scene in the movie? And you know, a lot of those scenes in Mary Poppins were, especially all the animated scenes, you'd never know it to look at it, but they were all filmed in front of a big yellow screen, probably bigger than this one here. Big, big yellow screen. And what we did was we filmed our part first, without any of the animation being there. And then they drew the animation and put it in later in only the way that Mr. Disney can. So when I was with the penguins, or when I was catching butterflies, I had to pretend that those penguins were there, or that the butterflies were there, or that I was riding on a turtle or a tortoise in the water. And it wasn't easy. And there was one day when I was flying, I should tell you this, Kathy. There was one day when I was doing all the flying sequences, and they saved all the really difficult flying sequences till last. Because the rest of the film was in the can, and if I had an accident, it wouldn't really matter quite so much. So they did it. So on the very last day of the movie, I was about as high as this proscenium up here, and I'd been hanging around up there for quite a while in an excruciating flying harness under my Mary Poppins clothes. And I was thinking, oh God, I'm feeling a bit nervous, it's my last day, and so on. And suddenly, this is an absolutely true story, I felt the wire just drop about half 6 inches or a foot. Oh. And I thought, my luck's going to run out. I am really nervous. So I called down to the people on the floor below, and I said, listen, this may be very foolish of me, but I felt myself just give a little bit. Do you think that when I do come down, you'd really let me down easily, because this is my last day and I'm a little bit nervous? And I could hear the word going all the way to the back of the studio, which was much longer than this theater. And the man who was managing the sandbags and the wires that were holding me up, because I had a kind of counterbalancing equipment, they said to him, all the way at the back of the studios, when she comes down, Joe, you be sure, let her down real easy, take it easy, Joe, just let her down slowly. And I dropped like a ton of bricks. Now, because of those big sandbags that counterbalanced me, I hit the stage very, very hard. But I have to tell you, I said a few Anglo-Saxon four-letter words that Disney's never heard before or since. And then there was a long pause when everybody was really horrified. And then Joe's voice from the back said, "Is she down yet?" And I wasn't only down, I was nearly through the boards. That's a true story.
Did Joe ever apologize?
I never saw him again. I don't know.
Mental note, don't talk to him. All right, we have a question. Somebody would like to know, what tea is your favorite to drink?
PG
Oh,
tips.
I love tea. I love coffee, but it doesn't like me very much. So tea is my best drink, and I'm a real tea addict. And real good common or garden black tea is what I love. And there's a tea that's not sold very much in the United States, but it is sold, and it's called PG Tips, and it's out of England, and you all know it, right? It's delicious, and I usually have 2 tea bags to a cup, which really punches it. With milk.
We have quite a few Mary Poppins questions because of the movie. So this next one, they're wondering if that was a wig you were wearing.
Yep.
Yes, of course it was. I'm not normally that red or that... I wore many wigs on the piece, and it's one of the reasons that I cut my hair short, because until Mary Poppins I had quite long hair, but then when you have to put your hair up underneath the wig, there's quite a lot of hair there, which makes the wig look rather bulky. So I cut my hair short, and that's how I had such short hair in The Sound of Music, because they liked that look. And so it was a lucky thing that I did cut my hair. But yes, I wore wigs, several different ones for different scenes. And there's, of course, there's always a backup wig in case this one tears or something like that. I don't like wearing wigs. The glue gets sticky around your face. But there are some wonderful wig makers and people who dress wigs in Hollywood. And I must say they're to be admired. They're wonderful people.
Probably the technology today is so much better than I'm sure
Than it was then. Yeah, wigs are much lighter these days than they used to be. They used to think that for some reason you had to have a lot of hair. And in a wig, you really don't need to have that much hair.
Well, Donna would like to know, what was your favorite scene from Mary Poppins?
I think going into the pavement and coming out into animation is probably one of my favorites. Because the song is such fun. It's a jolly holiday with Mary. It's got... The amazing thing is that when I first heard the songs for Mary Poppins, I somehow, in those olden days when I was in vaudeville and I was wondering what good was all this going round and round and round England, when I finally heard the songs for Mary Poppins, I thought, they have a kind of vaudeville quality to them, a sort of rum-ti-tum strumming feeling. And I thought, maybe I could bring something to those songs. And so I love Jolly Holiday, and I love Supercalifragilistic, of course.
That's my personal favorite. I'm assuming this question is about Carol Burnett, but it comes from Shirley. Are you and Carol going to be doing a TV show in the near future?
Oh,
well, she's a great friend.
yeah.
We hope so. We've been talking about it for years. We've done 3 together, and we'd love to do another one. We love working with each other. We're great, great friends, and she's Emma's godmother. And it costs a lot to put one of those shows together, and we'd love to put a retrospective together of the past 3, the best of, and then make a whole new sequence as well. But it costs a lot of money. You have to pay all the musicians that ever performed on those shows, all the people that did the orchestrations. It's huge.
And I would almost think that they would want to, because it seems like both you and Carol are timeless. I mean, generation after generation, and I mean that in the most positive way. Generation after generation, everybody's growing up on you, they're growing up on Carol, and they're just as endeared to you now as when you first came on the scene.
I know she's hugely popular.